Checkity check a 1 2 1 2. It's Bass Theory and Chill with your boy Bass Face in Space. What's up? Well, I've had a productive day so far, and I'm just riding on that productive energy. I actually got 2 videos up and arranged today. It took me so long to get Nothing Else Matters, and it was like everything that could go wrong did type of arrangement. I finally got a good arrangement, and I didn't press record on the video. It was it was just bad. And then even when the one I uploaded, I think I had some mistakes in it that were just gonna irk me, but it took, like, 2 months to get it out. So now I feel like kind of a fresh burst of energy. I just did 2 short arrangements, one of Word 2, which is a really cool, Japanese 80s kinda jazz song that Mac DeMarco sampled, so you may recognize that. When you hear it, that's on up as a short, and, tomorrow, I'll have the start of, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Gymnopédie? Gymnopédie, Eric by Eric Satie. You know that one, it's the and so on. That's gonna be coming out tomorrow. I trying to help the algorithm rather than just doing everything in one day, so I scheduled the upload for tomorrow. It's already on Patreon. But yeah, my boy, Baselzebub, commented on Word 2 asking about bass theory. Years ago, oh gosh, it's been years, I uploaded Music Theory Part 1. There was no Part 2. So essentially, the video I uploaded is like a half an hour introducing some right hand, left hand kind of basics to get people started on bass. And then as I started to get into the weeds of music theory and trying to prioritize what's the most important, I just kind of got stuck because there's there's a lot of information floating around up here, and actually like getting it out step by step is not really my strong suit. So I figured let's just do it live. So step one in music theory for the instrument, as you'll find in my bass theory part one, is learning your fretboard. Like before we get into intervals, scales, triads, seventh chords, modes, all the fun stuff. I think it's fun. We really got to know what notes are you playing on the bass. When I first started playing bass, it was like Blink 182 off of MX tabs, which is no longer around. But it was just I was learning from tabs, and I had no idea what notes I was playing. I was kind of subconsciously developing an ear just by learning songs, but I would play stuff and I'd be like, this note sounds good with that note, but I had no answer of the why. And so I like to think about music theory as really just the why. Why do these notes sound good together? Most casual listeners can listen to a scale and go, sounds good, sounds right, I like it. Most people can just hear a wrong, quote unquote, wrong note. Um, but we want to get into a little bit of the science of why do those notes sound good together. So, I probably should have had an exact script before I went live, but I was feeling good, so I was like, let's press record and see where it goes. So the first thing, as a I almost don't even want to review it because it's a half hour, but let's talk about the natural notes. Okay. So natural notes are make a C major scale, or you can think about it as the white keys on a piano, and that's a set of 7 notes. All right. If we start with C, that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And at the 8th one, you start back at C again. All right. We call that an octave. It's a set of 8 notes. The 8th note is where it kind of repeats, and you have that all over the bass. So you've got C, D, E, E, F, G, A, B, C. D, E, F, G, A, B, C. D, E, F. That's as far as I go. So that's our major scale. So let's spend some time talking about that right now. So a scale is essentially a set of notes that sound good together. And the key signature for C is no sharps, no flats. So it's just all the natural notes. You don't have to worry about quote unquote like the black keys that you would have on piano. So that's usually a good place to start. Let's try it in this position here. Okay. Now within just that set of notes, we can have a vehicle to learn the at least the basics to get you started on everything you need to know about music theory. All right. So the first thing is that's a scale. That's what we call a scale. A scale, I just think about it as one of every letter in the musical alphabet. A B C D F E A B C D E F G. It's just one of each. It's one A, one B. And then a key signature tells you, okay, for example, the first one is the key of G, which uses an F sharp. It says, okay, it's A, B, C, D, E, F. When you get to that F, you just play an F sharp. All right. And that's what key signatures, keys, and scales. That's we can start with that kind of as what we want to know. Now, what I'm fascinated with as specifically when it comes to solo bass is the idea of chords. So from scales, we can get chords. And the first way to make chords is every other note of that scale. All right. Now I'm talking a lot. I have some visuals that can help us get started here. Triads in key. Look at this. Okay. The one thing about going live on YouTube is that the share function is not the best, but what you're going to hopefully you can still hear my microphone. Okay, so here we have I'm already gonna just change this up real quick. All right, let's make this. There we go. All right, so that same position that we were just in for our C major scale. I'm jumping around. What am I doing? Get it together. I want to show you the scale too. But all right, we're here now. So what you're looking at right now is what's called a harmonized major scale. All right, and we're doing it in triads. So we had this set of C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now we're going to create chords by just doing every other note of that scale, every other letter of that scale. So I actually have a visual for this. So we just played. This is so ghetto. We just played C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and we go back to C. The way we build chords out of that is just every other letter. So you do C for a C chord, our C major chord. We start with C, we'll skip D. We play an E. I'll play the notes as we go. We start with C, we'll skip D, we'll play an E, we'll skip F, and we'll play a G. So that C, E, G of our C major triad sounds like this. Now, those three notes, man, yeah. So if a guitar is playing a C major chord, those are three great notes to be playing. On guitar and most chordal instruments like piano, guitar, those are the two main ones. You'll see you can play chords on plenty of stuff. Banjo, mandolin. On bass, we can play chords. More traditional bass playing, though, will do what's called an arpeggio, which is where you play the notes of the chord one at a time. So you turn these three notes, C, E, and G, from a chord where all the notes are being sounded at the same time to like a melody. So you're kind of walking through the chord, drawing a line through the chord, making a nice bass line. So here's a nice little exercise for us to practice this and harmonize, meaning turn our scale into a chord. So we're harmonizing the major scale. We're turning the major scale into a set of chords. So if we start with the note C, we're going to call that our one chord because it's based off the first note of the chord. Basil Sabub in the house. Sorry, I didn't see you. Yeah, man. Hey, feel free to chime in if you have any questions. You kind of inspired me to go live here asking about the theory. So let's see. I'm on a roll though. So we got C major chord. All right, that's it. C, E, G. So if a guitar is plunking away on a C major chord, it's a great place to start making a bass line. Now, and the theory part is I know, or let me say, I can predict using that in theory, those three notes will sound good while someone is playing a C major chord. All right, that's kind of the theory interpretation of it. Now, if someone's playing a C major chord, there are other notes that I could play and I could justify them, and we'll get to all that. All right. So let's say someone switches chords to D minor. Ooh, nice. Now I have a different set of notes. But if I think about my major scale, now I start from the second note that I played, C, D. I'll skip E, play F, skip G, play an A, and that's my D minor triad. Now it sounds pretty chunky, play it all at the same time, but if I make it an arpeggio, I'm feeling like cumbia right now. So I'm playing all these arpeggios in cumbia style. So now that's our second chord, D minor. Now notice that it's a minor chord rather than a major chord. This is going to be consistent when we harmonize any major scale. The first chord is major, second chord is minor, third chord's minor, fourth chord's major, fifth chord's major, sixth chord's minor, seventh chord is diminished. So this is something that happens a lot as you learn music theory. You're like, oh, I get it. It's major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. Okay, that I can kind of follow that pattern. And then you go, oh, and then there's diminished. And you go, ah. So all of the music theory sort of like patterns are kind of like an extra level of complexity, more than just A, B, more than that kind of black and white type of pattern recognition. There's always like a third thing that kind of breaks the pattern. Like even our major scale, it's whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. If it was just whole step, half step, whole step, half step, that would be so easy. But it's whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And that's just kind of the nature of theory. It's always this just a little more complex. It's more chess than checkers. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so this is what I'm saying why I have a hard time doing these theory, because there's so much I want to teach, but it's really hard for me to lay them out linear. So I'm just going to kind of keep rambling through. Hopefully some of it will stick. So I have my D minor arpeggio. D, F, A, F. All right. And then I do the same thing for E, which is my 1, 2, 3, third note of my C major scale is an E. If I turn that into a chord, I get E, G, B, G. And you can already tell that that sounds minor. That's a minor sound. All right. Also notice the distance from the 7th fret to the 10th fret. That's what we call a minor third. And I want to talk about intervals too, but we'll keep moving. All right. Next we have F, our fourth note. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, D, E, F. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. And we do every other note from there. F, skip G, A, skip B, C. All right. Now, this is I've forgotten how funky I got on this one. I could probably do this a little bit more straightforward. This is a document from a private lesson. But I mean, the same actually applies. I have a better one. So see this? I got tricky with it. So let's talk about it. This is a G, that's a B. What? Why isn't it here? I mean, that was the B we were playing before. Well, it's still a B. This is an octave lower B. I don't know if I like this actually. What was I thinking? Luckily, I have a different triad workshop. Oh, this is crazy. Okay, I like this one. Okay, so we have, oh my gosh. I should have this organized. I was feeling super inspired. I was like, I'm just going to go live. Screw it. And look at this. Okay. Well, if you're still tuned in, I appreciate you. Let's just do a quick. Oh, man. I think I'm going to delete this video. See, this is what I'm saying. Oh, man. All right. Hey, if anyone's in the chat, give me a heads up. I feel like I'm bombing here. All right. Maybe you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll stick with this one, and I'll just warp it to be what it should be. Okay, I like that better. So we have our G. Let's do this guy. All right, so we have our G note. Skip A, B, skip C, D. Okay. Then let's go ahead. Let's do this guy. Thanks, Bezos. It's so funny when it's like, it says that there's 2 people watching, and I'm like, what? And I thrive on like interaction. Like I'm a classroom music teacher as well, and it's like I need the feedback. I need to feel the audience. Otherwise, I start to panic. All right, so where were we? G. That's my G, B, D, B. So if we go back to this chart here, right? We start with G, skip A, B, skip C, D. That's how we build triads. So we're just keeping that pattern going. So it's G, B, D, B. Then we get to A. This is a minor chord as well. So we go A, skip B, C, skip D, E. Now this is where it gets weird. I'm going to put this note there because I like it better there. Now we get to a B diminished. Okay, what's a diminished? Well, it's like a minor, but it's extra minor. Okay, so it's technically a minor with a flat 5. So this is a B diminished chord here. And you can tell that kind of sounds funky. If we raise this note here, that's a B minor. All right, but that F sharp note that I was playing there is not in the key of C. So we're left with this B, D, F. actually a sick chord if it's used appropriately because it resolves really nice to the C. Um, what do I want to say about this? So I'm still just using this every other note thing. I want to talk briefly about intervals because it's something that I've been using in the language already. Oh, okay. Beelzebub's popping in here. My goal with playing is learning theory from my board. Trying to figure out what the hell, how the hell I can figure out lines from what a guitar is playing. Okay, this is what it's about, man. Okay, so let me see if I can kind of use um, what you're saying to kind of narrow my focus here, because that's the thing with theories that there's so much to cover. So let's talk about. Let's try to make this apply more to um, what the hell a guitar player is playing. So let's talk about this. When I first started playing bass and I didn't know any theory, I would literally just I mean, I was playing punk rock. I was playing like and not even good punk rock. Well, a good punk rock. I still like it. But it was like Green Day, Blink 182, like Newfound Glory. So it was, we were playing pop punk, playing, fast drums, fun bass lines. And the the bass would just essentially follow the power chords. So for punk rock, that's easy to kind of follow what the guitarist is doing because I could literally just watch his hands as he does power chords everywhere. And I would go, okay, wherever his first finger is, I'll just play that note, like the bass version of it, right? Now, when you start to get to slightly, um, just more advanced music, like out of punk rock, it's breaking out of just power chords. There's a level of we got a little bit more to figure out here. Um, so Beelzebub, you still here? Let's see. Does your guitar if you're are you playing with a guitarist in a band right now? And also like what um are, do they know theory? Because a big part of the thing that you can gain out of theory is like a shared language. So if he's saying something like you're like, what are you doing there?" He's like, "Oh, I'm playing an A." Yeah, was the punk theory. Are you playing punk rock? Because we can talk punk rock all day. But if you're ever asking your guitarist like, "Hey, what are you playing?" He's like, "Oh, it's like A, D, G, or whatever." Then we as bassists, you can just learn that kind of part one of like where are the notes. And I'm like, he said he's playing A, D, G. Okay, well I can have my pick of any of these A's on my fretboard. Maybe I want to pick some that are close together. So maybe we go A, D, G, and I can just stay in this little location. So I have A, D, G. All right, and then you can just put a little groove in it. Okay, and you're playing the root notes that match the chords that the guitar is playing. You're hired. You're good. Okay? Like, if you can play the root notes of the chords as they go along in time, you're doing your job as a bassist and you're fine. All right? Now, I'm a big I bet you can never guess that I have ADD. So, I when I just play the root notes, I start to go, "Okay, I wanna do more stuff. I wanna do more. Can I do more stuff?" So, that's not always the right thing to do, by the way, and I, like, have to slow myself down and sometimes I'm like, "It's okay to do less." Bass is a do less instrument, but if you want to open up, like a lot of the bass lines that we like as listeners the most as bassists are the ones where the bass kind of becomes a melody. So we have to start thinking about other stuff. Okay, what's Beelzebub saying? To be frank, I'm playing with a drummer, trying to be playing leads, islands, and bass lines, but emphasize on rhythm and playing a solo just so it sounds like the song to be. Okay, well then it sounds like you found the right channel, my friend. Roots are where the money's at for sure. Not too shocked I have ADD. Okay, so all right, let's talk about this a little bit. So this whole harmonizing the major scale thing, right? Sounds like some pretentious gobbledygook, right? But it's super powerful, right? So if, for example, right, so I'm playing in the key of C. How do I know what key I'm playing in? It's usually what the first chord is. Whatever the first chord is, we'll call that the key. Just for it's not always the case, and I'd love to get into that when we get into modes. Yeah. Well, you're kind of getting a live private lesson here, so this is fun. All right, so let's just say we're playing in the key of C, right? And the guitar is like, oh, I'm doing like C, F, G, or whatever, right? I can play C, F, G, 5, 6, 7, 8, C, F, G, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're hired. You're hired, right? Okay, well, this is what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and just add live, transcription to it. So we have a chord progression and it goes C, not the 87th fret, please. F. What am I doing? Don't mind that sound. C, F, G. Right? And maybe the G lasts for 2 measures. Let's call that. Okay, so let's do a little kind of baseline writing workshop and apply some of our music theory to write to it. Always the 1-4-5. You already know. I mean, that's where we got to start. All right. So, yes, this is our 1-4-5. What does that even mean? Well, C is the 1. We're in the key of C. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 da. Lean on me. Okay, but C, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're at F, the 4th note of the scale. G, the 5th note of the scale. So now we have the 1-4-5 progression, right? And it's great. All right, so you want to write a bass line to a 1-4-5. Well, what are you gonna do? What are we gonna do? Well, let's start off. Let's just do it as eighth notes. Dun, 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 dun. Great. And guess what? You do this, you put food on the table. In this economy, you can get hired for a gig. Look at 2 of the most successful bands, like rock bands of the last like 20 years, like YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, U2, Coldplay, Foo Fighters. Guess what those bassists do? They play the root. They fill arenas. All right. They make good music. They're not doing any like mind-blowing, super elegant lines. They're not even thinking about modes. I mean, shoot, maybe there is a Foo Fighters bass line you guys can show me and be like, well, actually, on this Foo Fighters song, he has a really nice melodic bass line. I haven't heard it. I've listened to a lot of Foo Fighters, but you know what? I don't care because he's doing the job, right? He's it's a support role. Yes. Okay. So understanding of like the 1-4-5. Um, that's all what we're setting up with harmonizing the major scale, right? So, you play a major scale, you give each note that you're playing a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is the same as 1. That's where the octave where it repeats. You just play every other note, so it's that's your C chord, right? But each the 1, 4, 5 is the first note of the scale, 4th note of the scale, 5th note of the scale, right? And then from there, from the first note, you can build chords off of just playing every other note of the scale from that note. Okay. So, let's talk about this 145. All right, let's actually turn this into a little bit of a bass line, right? So, the first thing that I wanna do is let's talk about, like, walking bass lines. What does that even mean? Or bass lines, right? Let's draw a line from one chord to the next. All right? So, this is fine. Nothing to call home about. Let's add a little bit of direction to it, okay? So, I'm going to play, the notes of the scale in between the chord that I am on and the chord I'm getting to, alright? That way I can kinda set up the listener's ear to get ready for the chord that's incoming. And then let's walk it back to okay. So now this is starting to sound a little bit more like a bass line because it has direction to it. So we've got already I like it a lot more than just strictly the root notes because this for me is I hear a little bit of an issue from this to that. So I kind of want to problem solve it because I'm like, it just sounds like the F chord kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, oh, we're in F now. If I add these connecting notes, just D, E, F, just like walking through the alphabet, then all of a sudden my ear's more set up for the next chord, right? Okay, so pretty straightforward stuff. Now let's take it another level and introduce a chromatic walking note. Oh, that note's not in the key, but guess what? It's a note that's in between the chord that I'm on and the place I want to be. So now the bass line, just with that single note, becomes a little stronger. Okay, maybe that doesn't fit it appropriately. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do what's called a surround. All right. So I'm gonna go past that note. This will sound a little bit better. So F, A, what's in between F and A? G. So now I'm surrounding the target note. Now that sounds a lot better. Oh, hey, now we got the chat here. I love this. Okay, now we can actually have a conversation. The most complex bass lines in your transcriptions. Yes, unnecessarily complex. And you can even go further, make them more complex, go further. For Foo Fighters songs, you're more complex, sorry, yeah. Yeah, right, but I'm not filling arenas. So, the solo transcriptions are s I hope you think are fun, I hope that's why you're here, right? But also, all this theory, I want you to apply to, like, just playing in normal bands as well, because it all goes into my solo arrangements, but also just goes into my kinda everyday playing. Are there instances where you wouldn't include passing notes when getting from something like the 1 to the 4? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so my my bass teacher, who I absolutely r I just respect and love the most, his name's Bob Magnuson. He literally wrote a book published by Hal Leonard called The Art of Walking Bass, and he has a couple rules for chord changes that he calls strong transitions, okay? Now, going from 1 to 4 can be considered a strong, transition. So, the way that he listed out, strong transitions are either from a whole step or half step above or below the target note. Okay, I have to get my words right. So, it's either by a step or, from the fifth of the target note. Whew, okay, let's unpack that. All right. So, if I were in the key of F, F, G, A, B, C. C would be the fifth of F. That's considered a strong transition, right? You get this 5, 1, right? And you especially hear it most coming down. So let's just say this. We're gonna drop this baby down. All right. Let's take this one. All right. Um, so from C down to F, it could be up to F as well because it's just the movement, essentially the movement of a fifth is considered a strong transition, and you hear this all the time, like, okay, that sounded strong. That sounded like it resolved to me, right? So from the fifth of the target note, that's a transition. That's a strong transition. You don't necessarily need a passing tone to get there, right? Um, to me, in that case, like just because C is the one chord, I think my ear more wants a transition. Like if it were the end of the phrase, I don't think moving by that interval, I would need a transition as much because uh, you often end on the 5 chord and resolve to the 1, like, your ear is kinda ready for that, it kind of expects that. Off the rip, though, from 1 to 4, like, in the 2nd measure, it I think it'd be nice you could do well to set it up. So, as I was mentioning before, the other strong transitions are a step below or a step above the target note. Now, this, for C major, um, getting from C to F, I guess I didn't even have to type that out. Let's just keep working on this. From getting from C to F, I could just, I don't even have to walk up the whole scale like this. I can just have this transition note here, right? That's a strong one. All right. I can also have it from a step above. I like that. And guess what? Both of those notes happen to be in my C major arpeggio. Now, you can get some fun stuff by playing like chromatic transitions, and that's where it starts to sound a little bit funky. And I like the funky stuff. So even if you're doing a C major chord, right? By incorporating notes that aren't actually in the key, you start to get this kind of, it kind of sounds like the Pixies to me, It has this kind of like late, like almost like a laziness to it if it's in like a punk context, right? Um E flat, not in the key. E in the key, F. But it's like since I'm resolving to the new chord, that 4th beat of transition, you can kinda get away with some stuff. You can get away with some kinda craziness. I can even do oh, edgelord edgelord chords transition. Alright. It's probably, like, the funkiest note I can play, the blue note, but it stands out. It's a bold choice, but you can do it, right? Let's keep it a little bit more traditional. Does that answer your question? Are you still tuned in? Sound saboteur? I hope that helps. Okay, cool. Alright. Maybe I mean, are you guys on the Patreon? I kinda wanna get a, I feel like lessons like this are actually would be best done, like, with a live lesson with an actual like, a student. So, I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe if this is something that, like, you guys would be interested in, like, actually having a Zoom lesson, and we could just put that on live. I'd have to figure out a little bit of, like, the tech behind that as far as, like, Streamlabs or what platform to use, but, I feel like that would be a much better format for this because otherwise I kind of feel like I'm like shouting in the dark and it's hard to know like the feedback stuff. Okay, if that's something you'd be interested in, I have I'm on and yeah, the Patreon's free to join. I think you guys can send me messages through there. What's the best way to send me messages? I'm also on Instagram. You guys can message my Instagram if you want. Shit. Or, on my Nick Hind Music here, I'm gonna put this because I think I have a contact form. Okay, I'm gonna just put a link in the chat. Um, can you guys contact me through this? I'm so bad at this shit. Okay, you can schedule a lesson. I thought that there was just messaging. I'm gonna put my, uh that's so on there, you can schedule a lesson. Yeah, is my do I have my I'm so I need to get my butt in business. Okay, I so my Instagram is linked on my Patreon. That's a good way to get a hold of me. Um, I don't know if my email, but the other thing is that I have a whole, like essentially like a chat board on it, and I'd love if we could talk about that. Like someone would say something in the chat boards. Okay, well we could tackle that in a little bit. You guys hopefully you have a way to because I would love this. I mean, I work 7 days a week. Like luckily I have a day off today, so I'm like I have time to go on live here. But if we could schedule a lesson and do it live, that would be huge. That would be a format that I'd really like, and we can really dive into this. And I want to hear the questions you have along the way. So, yeah. So my calendar's there. All right, let's see if we can keep going on building this baseline, and maybe we can come up with some cool stuff. All right, so we kind of have this like eighth note groove thing going on, which is cool. What if we like kind of rather than just like root note, let's start to incorporate. Let's start with triads. Now, for the triads, it can sound pretty like it sounds kind of like cumbia to me, or like a reggae. Like this, these are nice grooves. Let's see if we can kind of come up with a groove. Um, one, I don't know. I don't know if I like that. What kind of style should we get? Let's just start typing and maybe we can get something. What if we get like a dotted ticking? What about something like that? Jeez Louise. Are you serious? What am I doing? Okay, sure. We'll go with that. So we could have this groove working with the different arpeggios. And I'll just transpose that up. And we'll transpose that up. If you guys are ever, I almost could do a whole like working with Guitar Pro lesson. You guys still with me? Okay, so we take this. We got okay. I mean, I wonder if this is like a little stylistically limiting with this with that bass line, but that's an example of taking the same three chords, but then when I play arpeggios on it and put a little groove into it for each of the chords, it can start to sound like a more like a bass line. So you have stylistic choices. You're doing punk rock. You can have more of kind of like a reggae kind of more of like an island feel with this kind of. Okay, now let's kind of apply our transition thing to this because this is all sounding fine for me. And what's cool here is that we have E, G, and then F is a really nice resolution because it's right in the middle. E, G, F. That's a nice resolution. I like that. This one maybe could be stronger. It's like since it's a 4/5, so it's just like you don't need to. If I really wanted to be strict on it, maybe what if I flipped the order on this? Does that mess up the groove? See, that sounds stronger to me, even though it's not the full sequence, because you have this A to G. Oh, okay. So now I can take the same concept, and now I have a two measure sequence. So you have this kind of 1, 3, 5, right? And then you have this. Now we're starting with F, and we're calling F the one of the chord. Then you have 1, 5, 3. You change to G. You've got 1, 3, 5, and then utilizing octave displacement, you have a 1, 5, 3. So now this becomes a really cohesive bass line that it's almost like this measure makes sense. And this one already kind of sets the precedent of kind of the different inversion of do da da do dee da 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 dee da 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 da. You've got that 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 1. And are those numbers making sense, Beelzebub, or is that you get where the 1 and 3 and the 5 are coming from? Let's play this bass line. It sounds like this. That sounds pretty cool, right? And that was started with which is a perfectly fine bass line, right? But by having this kinda, like, guiding principle of, like, I want smooth transitions, which I'm really glad you pointed out Sound Saboteur. Like, if I start to think, like, every bass line I play, I wanna have a strong transition from chord to chord, then, like, an idea starting off with just this first measure, when I change chords, all of a sudden that C to G, that's like the movement of a fourth, right? Doesn't feel strong to me. So I'm like, okay, how can I make the last note of my F chord into my G chord sound like a strong transition? Well, we just tried something out. We kind of like inverted this 3-5 to be kind of like a 5-3. Because you have that song A G as it just resolving by a step above the target note. Then this is fine because it's just still on G, and this is down a fifth if we want to get really like technical about it. And then we by having this still the arpeggio D B, what note's going to be here is going to be a C, and that sounds like a nice resolution. Now that starts to sound, I mean, you know, it sounds good. I sure think it sounds a heck of a lot better than versus isn't that more interesting? It's more, I think it has strong transitions and it tickles the ear a little bit more. More movement and bounce. Yeah. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. So let's talk about let's break out from that kind of island feel a little bit, and let's talk about some of my favorite intervals. Okay. So what if we had uh-huh. Okay, let's talk about the one of the greatest bass lines ever written. Ramble On, Led Zeppelin, right? So do I have a transcription of that? So Ramble On was the first time that I heard um I don't have it. I don't have Ramble On baseline. Oh, what am I doing? I'm failing you. I'm failing you as a music teacher because I don't have a good version of Ramble On. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed myself. Okay, that's fine. I guess I could write it up. I'll just play it for you. All right. So for Ramble On, all right, he takes two chords, just E and A, and turns it into one of the best bass lines ever. So the chords you got E 2 3 4 A 2 3 4 E 2 3 4 A 2 3. All right, so we've got, so for that E starts off with it like just an arpeggio, right? But it's the octave in the fifth with a nice rhythm to boot, right? Then chord changes to A, and then he gets really nice sexy rhythm, sexy interval, goes to the sixth. So you get that if we're calling, when we change the chord to A, if I think about A as the 1 for this measure, you got that 1, 6, 5. Okay, so start over that E chord, 1 octave, 5, and then you have that 6, 5. Alright, and then back to our E. Okay, so what are we playing there? We're playing the E and then that G sharp, which is the major third of our E chord. And then he walks it back down in the sweetest way. So where are those notes coming from? That's coming from the E major pentatonic scale. So you go. And then when does it actually change to A? Let me think about this. That's so cool. So the chord changes to A. Like Jimmy Page is playing A, but JPJ, John Paul Jones, is playing the note E over the A chord, and he plays the C sharp. So he's playing the 5th of the A chord, and then the 3rd of the A chord. So the chord has changed to A. He hasn't played an A yet. And then just to kind of resolve it at the very end. Was it that finally that A, or the 1, 2, 3, A, B, C sharp, and then that 5th. So it's like an arpeggio with an extra step. So you got that. He's essentially outlining this 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, but he plays the 2nd note of the scale on the way. With the bass notes. Okay, so now we talked about Ramble On for a moment. Let's see if we can use some of those concepts in our 1, 3, 5. We can use some of those intervals. So, okay. Could someone say rip off? Okay, so let's make a 145 Ramble On. All right, and then sue me for copyright infringement. It's okay. Zeppelin would never sue me, but the Eagles would. I have a gripe against the Eagles. Hotel California arrangement available exclusively on Patreon. Got me a copyright strike on YouTube. Okay, so if we had. That'd be too much. Okay. Okay, so it's just kind of like John Paul Jones, right? But let me think about the rhythm here. So this can be almost the same rhythm as the last bass line that we did. That works for me. That works. I think we can do that. And by using this kinda, like, m major like, the major pentatonic kinda overlapping with, with the chord tones, it just really gives you nice transitions, you know, if you're using, major chords. Duck, guk, 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 guk. Okay, that'd be like something like what is it? Yeah, and then we have an extra eighth note for this nice transition note. So I'm gonna be picky because this type of stuff bothers me. Right, and I'm gonna draw it like that. That's strangely. See, I have an easier time. Let's see. Actually, I want it like this. This is my like kind of OCD at work. That looks better for me. Actually, I want this. Sorry, this is the annoying part. That ending's a little weak to me. I wonder what we could do to make that. Oh, dude, the video's on Patreon. The Hotel California video. So Patreon's pretty chill. I just had to upload it directly to Patreon. I feel it's weird. I feel like even talking about it, like the CIA is gonna come knock on my door and be like, "The Eagles are here. You get another strike." But yeah, the Hotel California that I spent months on is on Patreon. This based on is this working? Do I need that? What did I do here? Why did I tie? Oh man, I got this is not the right. I want this. There we go. Okay. What do we want to do on that 5 chord that would make it nice? I know that works, I guess. Maybe there could be some variations to it. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, so I usually don't like the seeing the dotted um quarter notes kind of floating. Like it just helps me be more oriented when it's with the tied notes, but I'm gonna let it slide for this just because for sake of time. And I want that to be more. Oh gosh, these ties are the death of me. Dun 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 dun. Okay, now it's just me breathing into the mic. But yeah, this is starting to seem like now we made using some of the kind of ramble on ideas kind of hopefully turned this into these like just over 3 chords into a cool bass line. So we have here kind of like a 1-3-5. I mean, sorry, a 1-5 octave, and then the threes kind of sneaking in as a transition note. Now, this note, not in the F chord, but is readily available. Okay, so this is a major sixth. Anytime that a major chord, well, not anytime, 90% of the time that a major chord is happening, you can do the, and I'm realizing how vocal, if I can even say that, the interval of the sixth is, because so many songs that I do in these solo transcriptions, I hear a lot of the, right, that sixth then resolving to the fifth. It's just a very colorful note to play, a nice little color tone. All right. And since it's not in the arpeggio, um, I usually want to resolve it to a note that is in the arpeggio. And since the sixth is kind of in, there's the sixth, the seventh, and then the octave, so it can resolve to the octave. But that takes us a little bit too far from home, huh? Because if we're setting up the G, unless I wanted to take like the G up an octave. That could be an interesting direction, right? But right now we've got. All right, now what's going on with these guys? So again, this is my root G fifth, and I have that nice little color tone of the sixth. And then this is the second. You can kind of think about it as a ninth, right? But just the next note in the scale up from G. It's an A. And this sounds like satisfying to me to resolve back to the G. Now, if I just held the G, I'm not sure how much I would like this. That's fine, but we want to add more movement. And I repeat that same do do da. That's like the fifth, the sixth, the root, and then I use this kind of 3-2-1 to get back to C. All right. Well, we covered some bases. It got off to a little bit of a rocky start. I hope that people that tuned in or people that watch this later, it's not just me rambling and being annoying. I hope you got something out of it. This is a format that I like. Maybe the bass theory and chill. If when I have time, like I said, like I'm working 7 days a week, and my band is doing pretty well now. We just had a big run of shows, did a couple festivals, and this weekend I'm headed to New Orleans. So for the last live stream, I was like, "This is nice. I want to do this like every Sunday," and just about every Sunday since then has been like traveling, working, friends, family, birthdays. I've been out of town a lot for shows, and then when I'm not out of town, I'm catching up on work. So it's hard for me to find time to do this or energy. But while I have the energy, I think this is fun. So if you guys had a good time, if you got something out of this, let me know. And I'm serious about doing the like trying to get some online, like doing the lessons live. so it becomes more of like a workshop so that I can actually get like the feedback and it can turn into a dialogue. I think that that would be super valuable. So, Sound Saboteur and Base El Sabab, and also I mean, love you both. Base El Sabab, you're the man. You're a motivator, getting me to get on here. It was like, I mean, it was you asking the question about the music theory that made me start the live to even get up here, and I just super appreciate you interacting and Sound Saboteur, tuning in, asking questions really made a huge difference. So, either of you guys, if you follow up, like I said, the Instagram message would be a good way to get in contact with me. That's linked on the Patreon. I put my Nick Hine music in there. You can even just check my calendar and schedule a lesson, and then at least give me your email so I can reach out and we can schedule something, figure out what works for both of us. And there should be like a message board on Patreon, but I can't even find it right now on the website. So we'll see. But reach out to me and I'll also go live again. Like, subscribe, turn on that bell, and have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.